This week, our nation was forced to talk about a subject that makes a lot of Zimbabweans uncomfortable: homosexuality. Now, I'm sure we were all driving, minding our own business when we caught wind of this headline on the side of the road. Shocked as you may have been, you'd have begun to receive WhatsApp messages about the story. So let's quickly recap what went down. On a Friday morning, the school called an assembly. There was to be some big announcement. The announcement was about this guy, Neal Hovelmieier, Deputy Headmaster of St. John's College and teacher at the school for 15 years. One of the best the college has had. In front of the students that morning, he announced that he was gay. So why did this become a public issue? Well, the school said the Daily News was about to out the teacher. So the school management decided, hey, why don't we come out in public and say this ourselves first? They thought it would be preferable for school stakeholders to learn of Dr. Hovelmieyer's sexual orientation from them rather than from a news report. So that's how Hovelmieier ended up in that assembly telling his students that he was gay. What happened next? Well, predictable. Parents were unhappy. Really unhappy. It was a meeting where insults were flying, some almost traded blows. It was a mess. Some parents hired lawyers. They threatened to have the teacher arrested on criminal charges. They wanted the headmaster, his two deputies, and the school board to quit. Well, the parents did get what they wanted. Headmaster resigned. The board chairman stepped down too. The teacher says that he quit because he was receiving death threats. Now, the story hit headlines not only in Zim, but all around the world. Not the kind of publicity Zimbabwe needs right now. Definitely not the sort of publicity any school needs. But should it have come to this? Did the school handle this well? Well, the jury is still out on that one. But 4 press statements in 1 week shows the PR machine was in overdrive. Speaking to Reuters, Hovelmieier said he hoped to create a space that acknowledges gay students in the Zimbabwean school system. Students who are forced to live in the shadows due to a lack of acceptance. But the public disclosure thus far says a lot about our society's position on this matter. We're just not ready yet to talk about homosexuality. As a nation, we have a history of finding it hard to have discussions that challenge long-standing positions in our culture. For example, UNICEF has challenged our country over the issue of child labor. They argue that a child should not be seen as an economic solution for a family, a position supported by many here. Yet, there are people who will not blink an eye to hear that a child had to work during their school holiday to make their school fees available for next term. Who's right here and who's wrong? What about corporal punishment? We all know the ruling by Justice Mangota following an application by a Harare parent who challenged corporal punishment at schools after her grade 1 child was subjected to beatings by her teacher. Now, corporal punishment is banned nationwide. And the question of how we discipline our children has boundaries placed upon it that have some in agreement with the ruling and others believing our children will become rebellious. Let's have a look at what the law says. Section 78 of our Constitution forbids gay marriage. Then you have Section 73 of the criminal law. It makes it illegal for 2 men to have sex. So it's not really illegal just to be gay. You have to actually be involved in gay acts to break the law. There are at least 34 African countries where gay acts are illegal. In fact, in 4 countries you can be sentenced to death. However, the organization that fights for gay rights, GALS, is registered in Zimbabwe. In fact, GALS even works with the Ministry of Health on a lot of HIV and AIDS programs. So what's your position? Is Zim ready to have this conversation? Or is this simply too taboo to discuss? I leave that to you to decide. So Zimbabwe has just discovered oil. Well, not exactly. There's just the possibility of oil. We saw some big headlines this last week. An Australian company says it has confirmed oil prospects in Mzarabani. A lot of people obviously got excited about this. Some figured we struck oil. All of our problems are over. But no, we aren't exactly Saudi Arabia yet. This company has been doing some surveys over there. And in simple terms, this is what they are saying. We've checked out all the rocks and soils in the area, and we think it's the kind of rock that would usually give us oil. That's it, for now. But what happens next? They will actually have to find the oil. And even if they do find it, they'll then have to decide if there's enough of it to make it viable to start digging. Energy companies don't waste money digging for small reserves of oil. There has to be a lot of it to make commercial sense. So we're still a long way from having our own oil. Still, you know what's amazing? The fact that a lot of people didn't even know there was a chance of oil being in Zimbabwe. In fact, back in the 1990s, the big oil company Mobil did a survey there. The crazy part is that their survey results have been like a top secret project for all of these years. It's not just in Mzarabani, no. This goes for a lot of our minerals. And here's the question for you. Do we really know how much mineral wealth we have here? Well, the answer is simple. No, we don't. And here's why. For us to know how much gold we have, for example, we need exploration. Now, exploration is when companies go out and drill the ground. Check out what's underneath. Companies that do this sometimes get what's called an exclusive prospective order. This is like a special permit to look for minerals. Back in 1999, we had over 300 of these permits. Now, we have just 3. Now, what does this all mean? It simply means we aren't finding any new resources. We just don't know what we have underground. In fact, a lot of the exploration information we're using is from the 1950s. Yes, from the 50s. And here's the problem. Right now, we're all talk. We talk about being the 2nd biggest platinum producer in the world. We talk about having the 5th best lithium resources. We talk about our diamonds. We talk about our chrome. But we don't seem to have an idea of how to turn that talk into real action. That benefits the country. That benefits the community. Do we have a plan for investment? Do you know that the government recently put 6 state-owned mines on sale? Yes. And there's a lot of guys who are interested to buy. In fact, 151 companies from outside the country have placed bids. These are Canadians, Australians, the Brits, South Africans. They want these mines. But do we have a plan to get the best deals? Do we have a plan to make sure that the communities benefit? Will locals have a seat at the table? And when we speak of locals, what type of locals are we talking about here? The connected few? Makorokos are now produce 60% of our gold. The government sees this as a great success, but at what cost? Many of these guys are mining on riverbanks. They're releasing mercury into the rivers. There's a lot of damage to our environment. But they can just take their gold to the RBZ and they get paid in US dollars. And they get hard cash. No questions asked. But how long can we keep this up? We should have learned by now after our mess with the diamonds. Here's what we think needs to happen. Number 1, we need to know what we actually have. Second, we need to decide what we want from these minerals. We need to decide how communities can benefit. This is what serious investors look for. They just don't come here because we talk a big game. They come when we are clear about what we have and what we want to do with it. The world isn't waiting for us. There was a big commodity boom between 2000 and 2008. We missed that boat because our minds were in a mess. So, are we ready for the next cycle of good prices? Well, it's the Second Republic, isn't it? We wait and see. Thank you to everyone who has supported POV. Over the weekend, we won the Your Voice Award, courtesy of the Hub on Conference 2018 Shawcor Festival. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for your support.